Janukanya Mataji, when you are ready,
Yes,
please start with the invocation. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.1, text 23. Anyani cheta dveja deva divyayi kritani namaya. Let me start again, sorry. Anyani cheha dvija deva devi kritani nanayatanani Vishnu pratyanga mukyan kritamandirani yaddarsanat krishnam anusmarananti.
Hare Krishna. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna.
Tatastyate rajya suratram ridham sauvira matsyan kurajangalamscha kalena tabad yamunam upetya tatrudva davam bhagavatam dadarsya.
Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira, Matsya, and through western India, known as Kuru jungle. At last he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna.
Sabasudevanu charam prasantam brihaspate prakratayam pratitam alingyagadham pranayena bhadram swanam aprichyad bhagavad prajanam.
Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced him, Uddhava, who was a constant companion of Lord Krishna and formerly a great student of Brihaspati's. Vidura then asked him for news of the family of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead.
Kachit puranau purasau swanit priya Padma nuvritye hakila vitirnau asaturabhya kushalam vidhaya krita shanau kasalam suragehi.
Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead, who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who is born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased their prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Shurasena.
Kachit kurunam paramah surino bhama sakeste sukhamanga saurihi yo vaiswarinam pitravadadanti varan vadanyo bharatarpanena.
Please tell me whether the best friend of the Kurus, our brother-in-law Vasudev, is doing well. He is very munificent. He is like a father to his sisters, and he is always pleasing to his wives.
Kachit varuthadi patir patiyadugnam pradiyumnaste sukhamanga viraha yamrukmini bhaga vatobhailibihi aradhyo vipran smaramadi sarge.
Oh, Uddhava, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yatus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna by the grace of the Brahmanas whom she pleased.
Kachit sukham satvata vritni bhoga dasarhakanam adipa aste yamabhyasinchak chatapati netro nirpasanasam parihritya durat.
O my friend, tell me whether Ugrasena, the king of the Satvatas, Vrishnis, Bojas, and the Shauras, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne, but Lord Krishna again installed him.
Kachidare saumya suta sadriksha aste graniratinam sadhu sambha asutayam yam bhavati bratadhya devam guham yom vikayam ritogre.
O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva, and now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna.
Shemam sakachid yuyudhana aste yahpal gunal labdhadanurasya lebdhi najasagdhok sajasheva yaiva gatim tadiyam yatibhir durapam.
O Uddhava, does Yuyudhana fare well? He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for the great renouncers.
Kachid buddha swastyanami vaste swabhalka putro bhagavad prapannaha ya Krishna padan kitamargopam swaschit chata prema vidim navadharyaha.
Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Swafalka, is doing well. He is a faultless soul surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna.
Kachik chifam devaka boja putrayaha ya Vishnu prajaya iva deva matuhu ya vaiswagarbhina dadara devam trayi yatha yajna vitanam artham.
As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devaki Bhoja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well?
Apishvidashti Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kamadugo Niruddha Yamamanam Yamaman Astim Sma Hitsabda Yonim Manomayam Sattva Tiriya Tadvam.
May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees and has been considered from Yog to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind and the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu.
Apisvidaye cha nijatma daivam ananya vritya samanuvritaye hirdika satyat maya charu deshna jaga gadadaya swasti charanti saumya.
O Sabhavan, others such as Hridika, Charudeshna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Krishna as a soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation. Are they well?
Api swadorbyam vijayashyotavyam dharmena dharma paripatishetum duryodhanotap yatayat sabhayam samrajya lakshmya vijayanuvritya.
Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthir is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles. and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envy because Yudhishthira was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjun as if they were his own arms.
Kim va kritagheshagam atyamarsi bhimo hivad dirghatamam vyamunchat yasyan gripatam ranabhurnashehi margam gadayas charato vichitram. Are you there, Mataji?
Please
Hare
unmute
Krishna.
yourself,
Oh,
Krishna
sorry,
Mataji.
I was on
We
mute.
can't
Sorry.
hear the translation.
Sorry, I was on mute. Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his club when he stepped on the path.
Kachid Yashoda Ratayo Tapanam Gadi Vadhan Vapo Ratarirashte Alakshito Yachara Ute Gudho Maya Kirato Girshastutosha.
Please tell me whether Arjun, whose bow bears the name Gandiva, and who is always famous amongst the chariot warriors for vanquishing his enemies, is doing well. He once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows when Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter.
Yamavyutasvit Tanayao Prathayaha Arthayaravirtau Pakshmavir Akshiniva Rimata Udaya Midhev Swariktam Parat Suparnav Iva Vajrivaksrat.
Are the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well? Just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid, they are protected by the sons of Pritha, who snatched back their rightful kingdom from the hands of their enemy Duryodhana. Just as Garuda snatched nectar from the mouth of Indra, the thunderbolt carrier.
Aho Pritapi Dritayetir Bhakarte Rajasi Varyena Vipavti Vinapitena Yastvekta Vero Dirato Vijigriye Dhanurvritiyaha Yakakubas Chatasraha.
O my lord, is Pritha still living? She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander and who alone conquered the four directions simply with the help of a second bow.
Saumyanushochetam adhapatantam bratre parityaya taya viduhruhiyaha niryapito yena suritsva purya aham swaputran samanovratena.
O gentle one, I simply lament for him, Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after death. By him I was driven out of my own house, although I am a sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own sons.
Soham harir martya vidambanena drishnirnam kalayato vidhi atuhu nanyopalakshya padavim prasadak charami pasyan gatavim mayotra.
I'm not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others, but I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects.
Nunam nirpanam primadot pathanam mahim muhoshchala chaleyatam chamubihi badhat papanauti jihirsa Yeshu Paupai Krishna Atsagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins and although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the dictation of three kinds of false pride.
Ajasya Janmod Padana Sumanaya Kamanyar Kmar Turgahanaya Pumsam Nanvan Yatako Ratideho Yogam Paro Gunanam Utakarma Tantram.
The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth?
Tasya Prapanna Kila Lokapanam Pam Asvastitanam Anushasaneshwe Artaya Jatu Swasya Yaduswa Jaya Vartam Sake Kirtaya Tirta Kirtihi.
O my friend, please, therefore, chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, the Yadus. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. Wonderful recitation, Janukanya Mataji and Chetna Mataji. Thank you so much. So please accept my respectful obeisances, dear devotees. Welcome to Chad, Chad Plus, Chapter a Day, Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will try to discuss Canto 3, Chapter 1 summary, as the chapter has ended, and the chapter is entitled Questions by Vidura. So we'll recite the prayers first and then we will try to discuss the chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति ते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी सतां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायणा कथाः तज्जोषनादाशपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यते I humbly seek your blessings, dear devotees, so we can discuss today. For my purification, I would like to seek your blessings, so please bless me. So the right words come out at the right time, in the right mood. So, chapter 1 is entitled Questions by Vidura, and the contents are first 5 verses Vidura's renunciation, and Maharaj Parikshit is very inquisitive. He is asking questions. Following 10 verses are the circumstances that are leading to Vidura's leaving Hastinapur. So, the reasons are explained. Why did he leave the palace? And then there is also Vidura's travels are mentioned 17 to 25, his pilgrimage. 26 to 42 is Vidura is inquiring from Uddhava. Actually, first chapter he has not met Maitreya yet. He is meeting Uddhava from 26th verse, and then he will first ask about the welfare of all the Yadus and Kurus and relatives. And then he will request in the last 3 verses to please glorify Krishna. And he wants to hear about Krishna from pure devotee Uddhava. So I will try and share the Veda base. So we will try to see how much we can cover verse by verse. 1 minute. Oh, okay. I have lost the Zoom page. Just give me one moment. Trying to again share the screen. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, let me share here and then, yeah. Can you see the Veda base now?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
anyone see Veda base? Hare Krishna. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Mataji.
Yes,
Yes.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay. I think my Wi-Fi is also not very stable today. Okay, so the first verse is the background of Vidura leaving home is discussed. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam etat pura prashto Maitreyo Bhagavan Kila Shatravanam Pravishtena Tyaktva Swagraham Riddhamat. So Vidura is leaving the home and he is entering the forest. And in the second verse, Vidura has left Hastinapur and he meets Maitreya Rishi in the forest. So here it is described that how comes he is asking here Parikshit Maharaj that why did Vidura leave the residential house of Pandavas because Krishna lived there and so it has become Dham. What was the reason? So there were two reasons discussed in the purport that why did Vidura leave. So first is family misunderstanding. Basically, the Duryodhan insulted Vidura, so he left. And secondly, main reason is he wanted to meet Maitreya Rishi and he wanted to learn and hear about Krishna. So he wanted to hear Bhagavatam. So that is what the second verse says. Vidura saw an opportunity within the calamity that occurred in his life. He saw the opportunity to advance in his spiritual life. And we will see how this great soul, Vidura, converts the crisis into opportunity in his life. Then third verse, Parikshit Maharaj asks more details to Shukdev Goswami to describe more. And fourth verse is actually very beautiful verse where there is a glory of what is the glory of conversation when two great devotees, pure devotees meet, which is Vidura and Maitreya. Their conversation is very, very purposeful. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. It is very meaningful conversation because even though this happened thousands of years ago, we are sitting here and discussing it. It is beneficial to humanity at any age. Even 10,000 years from now, this will be discussed. It will be as beneficial to human society for their advancement in bhakti. That is why it's a very purposeful discussion. So when two elevated devotees they sit and discuss, that's a very highly elevated, meaningful conversation, and it provides guiding light for the several generations to come. And even in this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that basically, one should be very eager, especially in the mornings, to hear Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, not just read newspapers or read about the updates of politics or sports or movies. But devotees, they are very inquisitive and excited to know about the spiritual subject matters because morning is the time to elevate our consciousness and improve ourselves in bhakti yoga. Then text 5 mentions that I will describe you. Please hear attentively, Shukdev Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj. And then verse 6, Dhritarashtra, it is now explained that what has happened. Why? Here we can see that Dhritarashtra is blind to the virtues, right, of Dharma. And he is very much attached to his impious son, and his attachment is based on undue affection, and he's very obsessed. And even Vidur, Akrura, Krishna, they all advise Dhritarashtra, but still he is blind physically and mentally and morally, and he consciously chose to fulfill and nourish the evil desires of his dishonest sons, and he supported them. So all that is explained here. Shukdev Goswami describes, four full chapters. Uh, then there will be also a meeting of Vidura and Uddhava. Thereafter, from fifth chapter, the Vidura Maitreya conversation will take place. So he takes so much time to explain the background, the backstories, and then what did Uddhava and Vidura discuss. And in seventh verse, we can see the atrocities of Dhritarashtra, basically, one moment. Is the purport not showing? One moment. Can we see the purport now? Yes, the purport is there. So seventh and eighth verses basically. Seventh verse and eighth verse talks about here. Yudhishthir, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling. But because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, he went off to the forest. When he came back in due course and begged to return his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion. So, here also it is mentioned in the purports also that how um, Shukdev Goswami here gives the background under which circumstances Vidura left. So Dhritarashtra gave permission, earlier to burn the fatherless nephews, Pandavas, by setting fire to their lacquer house. Secondly, they also organized gambling match, which Dhritarashtra approved through cheating means. And then they defeated Yudhishthir and Pandavas. So, and then we know how Dushasan insulted and tried to disrobe Draupadi. But Dhritarashtra's heart did not even melt. As a king, he allowed all this mistreatment to Pandavas. So all this was going on, and Vidura was witness. He was watching what is all this going on, injustice to Pandavas. Then we know that Yudhishthir was defeated by cheating. Still, he accepted the penalty, and they went to Vanvas for 12 years, 1 year incognito. And when they returned, Duryodhan did not give their rightful share back. And it's not that Yudhishthir Maharaj wanted to rule, so they were demanding their share. Actually, he is Dharmaraj, so he would know how to rule in the right way, how to rule the citizens and how to make them Krishna conscious. But here Duryodhan was not even ruling the right way, and it is a Kshatriya's duty to stop someone who is completely adharmic king himself, and he's not treating his praja properly. So not only they needed their share back, but they wanted to do justice to the people. to rule them in the dharmic way, and they wanted to prevent Duryodhan from ruling the wrong way. So all these reasons were there. But and then later on in this verse, we will see verse 9 that Pandavas, they also sent Krishna personally as a peace messenger, and who asked Kauravas that, okay, now you return their rightful share. And Krishna, he did not hesitate to take the role of messenger of Pandavas. But still, Duryodhan would not give up his false ego, and he did not accept the advice of Krishna. Now we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has spoken the entire Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna, who is spiritual master of the entire universe, but Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, Karna, Shakuni, they did not take Krishna's words seriously. So this is their misfortune, that Lord himself is here trying to make them understand, but they were just not ready to understand. And here in this purport, beautifully Srila Prabhupada says that the message of Godhead is always like nectar to the devotees, but it is just the opposite to the non-devotees. Just like he gives the analogy, sugar candy is always sweet to a healthy man, but it tastes very bitter to persons suffering from jaundice. So we can see that here. Srila Prabhupada explains why Duryodhan and party are not ready to listen, because it is like when someone has jaundice, they will not be able to taste the sugar candy properly. So that Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains here. So, and then in the 10th verse, we can see that Dhritarashtra calls one day Vidura for consultation. He is one of his council of advisors. He is a very prominent counselor. And as we know, Vidura is very famous for Viduraniti. Like he is very wise, he is very knowledgeable, and any advice he gives, it will be as per the scriptures. He follows the Shastra, he lives by the Shastra. So we can see here that he's expert in morality, and he's advising Dhritarashtra not only as a minister but as his brother, with a very well-wishing heart. But this person is so unfortunate that he has the best advice available on planet, but he is not able to implement it or take on, because he, as we said earlier, Prabhupada says that he is blinded by his undue attachment. So, a person may have access to best nourishing food, but if that person does not have a digestive capacity, then he cannot eat it, relish it, or he can't digest it. He can't take advantage of that feast. So, in the same way, we had also seen the example of Vibhishan. He gives the best advice to Ravan, but at the same time, Ravan is not ready to listen. So, Vibhishan left and joined Lord Ram. Here, Vidura also leaves to go to forest to hear the Krishna Katha and join the other devotees. So, then text 11, we can see here in text 11 that Vidura says here that you must now return the legitimate share, because the other brothers here, like he mentions Bhima, that Bhima will take revenge. So please don't anger him, don't make him angry, and so he even mentions all these, that look, all the Pandavas are not happy, and Arjun and Bhim being so powerful warriors, he even tries to explain in that sense that, please come to some sense. Then even in verse 12 here, we can see that the sons of Kunti, Pandavas, they have taken shelter of Lord Mukunda, Krishna who gives liberation. See, they have taken shelter of Krishna. Then Shiti Deva Deva, what it means, that they have taken shelter of the Brahmanas and the demigods. And Yadu Deva Deva Krishna, they have also taken shelter of Krishna himself, who is worshipped by the royal order of Yadu dynasty. And Pandavas have moral, they have ethical, they have emotional, military support of Krishna, Brahmanas, Devtas, other kings, Yadus. And on top of it, they themselves are righteous. they are very dharmic, they are very righteous. So he's clearly saying that your sons don't stand any chance on any ground to win this war. So best is that you understand the words, and the best thing is you return their share and everyone lives happily. But here, this verse is very important for Duryodhan. It's mentioned here that someone who is completely, who has envy in the heart, he is envious of Krishna. I mean, when this scenario occurs, how can that person take any advice? Sa esha dosha purusha dvidaste, gruhan pravishto yam apatyamatya, pushnasi krishnad vimukho gatashris, त्यजाश्व अशैव कुल कौशलाया. He's become Krishnad Vimukho. He has turned his face away from Krishna. He's not ready to take any instruction of Krishna. How can there be any auspiciousness for such a person? He is devoid of all the auspicious qualities. Better you give up this son. He is telling Dhritarashtra, you please give up your son Duryodhan, because he is going to bring ill fortune not only to himself but to the entire dynasty and the whole family. So now he is coming very, very clear in a very like a thunder. He is telling him that, look, this is the situation, please wake up, but we can understand that material attachment, because Dhritarashtra's attachment is material towards his son, it's not spiritual. Spiritual attachment to relatives is there in the family when we keep Krishna in the center. And when we keep Krishna in center, we will follow Krishna's words and scriptures. But here, complete opposite thing is happening. He is attached to Duryodhan, as we know. He is very insecure and he is very fearful. So his attachment is based on his anarthas, and thus he has become weak-hearted and he has lost the power of discrimination. He can't decide between right and wrong because now he is blinded by undue attachment. So he has lost dharma and he is acting in a completely unmentionable way. This is the situation of Dhritarashtra. So here, this is what has happened. So these are the certain, situation and circumstances under which Vidur has no option but to leave these people. And in 14th verse, we can say that while speaking thus, Vidur, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, now is insulted by Duryodhan, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. So till now, Duryodhan didn't speak, but now he will open his mouth and he will insult. He will insult Vidura in a very derogatory way. He calls him Dasiputra. And we had earlier discussed the backstory of Vidura's birth and also him being Yamaraj. We had discussed the story that what happens and why he's Vidur now. So there is no need, some truth, okay, it is fine, he's Dasiputra, but what is the need to bring out in public and use these words? There is no need at all. So one should be very sensitive and mature in using their speech because, sensitivity and not breaking someone's heart is more important than giving information or speaking the truth. So here Duryodhan might be saying Dasiputra, but there is no need. It has broken the heart of his elder person who is the age of his father, who is his uncle. So here we can see that there was no need to publicly insult him like this. Basically, Duryodhan doesn't have the etiquette of using the words properly, and he's very, very insensitive. Thus, he's breaking relationship and trust of Vidur here. And Vidur being very graceful, in 16th verse here, we will see his response and maturity. Here, Srila Prabhupada has explained, Gatavyatho yad urumanayanaha, means that without feeling sorry that he's losing his position, his upadhi or designation, he leaves very peacefully and calmly before Duryodhan himself has to apply any force on him to make him leave. Gatavyataha. Srila Prabhupada explains that Vidura feels relieved of his tribulations and all his difficulties living with these people and trying to make some sense with them. Finally, he feels, okay, this is Yoga Maya working on me, Lord's, internal energy, and he's helping me to go and hear Krishna Katha, whereas Maya is working on Duryodhan. That is why he cannot see the reality and the truth as it is. So, Vidur, being very, very intelligent, very wise, and mature in Shastric knowledge, knows now that these two opposite internal and external energies are working. So right now Duryodhan will not listen. The best thing is that I create distance and I go where I can benefit myself by hearing Harikatha. So he leaves his bow and arrow at the doorstep of the palace and he leaves Hastinapur. So this is how he turns crises and calamities and reversals as an opportunity to grow internally and to connect with Krishna. There are very beautiful points in the purport. Due to lack of time, we can't go through everywhere, but we should read. There are many nice quoted verses from Bhagavad Gita and other Shastra are also mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. So Vidura was very much hurt at heart, but he did not negotiate. Like a mendicant, he left and started going to all the holy pilgrimage places and meditated on Lord Krishna. And we know he could have gone to Dwarka, and Krishna was in Dwarka at that time. He would have happily accepted Vidura. He would have taken his association and given him great respect. But he did not go because Vidura felt that he was not qualified to associate with Krishna immediately, because having stayed with all the Kauravas and this Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra, his consciousness had also contaminated to some degree. This is how a pure devotee feels. He never is pride. He never takes pride that I'm a devotee, but he feels no. I also need to now first purify myself before I see Krishna. So, due to his association with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, he felt himself contaminated. So, he felt, let me go visit all the places, take darshan of different deities, take bath in holy rivers, and purify myself. So, this is the outlook of a pure devotee. And he did it happily. He never felt dejected or demotivated or disturbed. He didn't become dysfunctional or disturbed. He didn't sit in one place in difficulty. He moved on in the right direction. So this is how we can see that further on, moving on, there is a lot of things actually here in this verse that we can discuss. Because see, the curse became a blessing. If we see that on a material plane, we can't really keep fighting for justice. See, we had discussed that verse Nindana Stava Satkara, yeah, right? Earlier, that verse explained that in material world, praise and criticism both will come. And to what degree we can actually fight with material energy for our quota of happiness, and how much can we negotiate for comfort in this material world? We can't keep doing it. So we have to do the needful, whatever is necessary at the material plane, and then we have to draw a line. So we need to have a balance. We need not become overwhelmed and affected just because someone has treated us badly. It is their perspective, their consciousness. We cannot have control over someone's response, but we can only control our own response. So we need to have a balance, and we should not become overwhelmed with such material circumstances or people's reaction. Not everything needs our attention in that sense. So our attention should go in developing higher taste in bhakti. That's what Vidura is teaching us here, that he develops taste in higher taste in bhakti. And one doesn't have control over material world, how people will react, but we can definitely help ourselves, having taken human birth, understanding its value, move on. So that's what he did. So, and for that, we need to also develop some detachment to designations. Like Vidura was a big minister here, but gatavyataha, he has developed detachment to designation, and he comes closer to Krishna. So there are two things actually I was thinking today. Sarvadharman parityajya, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, means develop detachment, but only detachment is not, it is half story. The other important half story is develop attachment to Krishna. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So second line says, become detached to matter, attached to spirit. So when we will attach to Krishna, then actually we will get this real strength to deal with, this kind of things. In everyone's life, calamities come at some point or the other. So this is a very nice way that he has, Vidura is, and even fourth canto, we will see like Suniti shows the same kind of spiritual strength when Dhruva comes to him, and we can see how Uttanapad, just like Dhritarashtra, did not apply the right discrimination, and he will make Dhruva also does a lot of injustice. But Suniti, because of her spiritual strength and tolerance, gives the right advice to Dhruva. So Suniti and Vidura, these characters really show us how to develop this, take inspiration from them when such things could happen in our life as well. So 17th verse is also about to get higher pious credits. Vidura travels to holy places where many deities were also situated. Then let's see what is 18th verse. Yeah, 18th verse is Vidur travels like a mendicant, and he is not attached to any comforts. He is only thinking of Krishna, and he goes to many places, take darshan of different deities. 19th verse is about just as a matter of maintaining body, one has to accept some facility food. A mendicant should remain always absorbed in the function of pleasing the Lord, and he should be sanctified in his words and actions. Yes, so this is how a mendicant should be. Srila Prabhupada also explains in that small purport there. So Vidura really acts like a mendicant. Here, I think 19th verse. Let me see if I can find some words. Yes, so here Medhya means Vidura is pure, and he is independent in occupation, Vivikta Vritti. He is always Vivikta Vritti, and then Sada Apluta. He is sleeping on the earth. Here it is explained Sada Pluto. And Adha Shayana. He is sleeping on the earth, dressed as a mendicant, Avadhuta Vesho. So all this is explanation of Vidur, how he is a mendicant, Medhya, pure, then Vivikta Vritti, independent in occupation. Sada Apluta, always sanctified. Adha Shayana, he slept on earth. Then Avadhuta Vesho, he dressed like a mendicant. Alakshita, unseen by relatives, alone, swayed, and always performed the vows, Vratani Sire. And only to please Lord Hari, Hari Toshnani. Only to please Lord Hari, he did all of this, completely detached to matter. But, wanting to just please the Lord, that is bhakti, that is love for the Lord. Nothing for me, everything for Krishna. I was listening to this one class, and there Srila Prabhupada says that a devotee's motto should be nothing for me, everything for Krishna. So Vidura is really a perfect example of that, what Srila Prabhupada says here, that he wants to please Krishna. So beautiful. And then here verse 20, he's still on the pilgrimage. And while he is on pilgrimage here, the translation and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Kurukshetra war had happened. 100 sons of Dhritarashtra had already died at the hands of Bhima and Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir had become the emperor. And then Vidur, while he reached Prabhashetra, he came to know about this, that this is what happened. So he got the news. And then verse 21 is, verse 21 here again, Srila Prabhupada gives this nice analogy here that no one goes to forest to set up a fire. The fire is produced due to the wind, which makes the bamboos rub against each other, which causes friction, and in the summer heat, entire forest gets burnt to ashes. Similarly, Krishna acted as that wind that instigated the fire of war and destroyed all the miscreants in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He did not personally take up a weapon. So, Krishna did not take up a weapon, but he made the friction happen, just like how the fire takes place in the forest. And then verse 22 explains on the bank of Saraswati, there are 11 places of pilgrimage. And verse 23 is also explaining that there are so many other temples and different forms of Lord Vishnu. They were established by great sages and demigods. And these temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord. And thus Vidura goes on in his travel this way. And verse 24 explains that he passed through wealthy provinces like Surat and all these places are mentioned. Then he reaches the bank of the Yamuna where he happens to meet Uddhava. So verse 24, he meets Uddhava, and there is nice verse here mentioned by in Brahma Samhita by Srila Prabhupada that such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment. They are seeing the Lord because their eyes are anointed with the love for the Lord. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gun Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So beautiful. And then Uddhava is introduced in this verse 25. Vidura saw Uddhava, and Uddhava is introduced as Vasudevanu He is Krishna's associate, he is Krishna's friend, he is a constant companion of Krishna. And Krishna is sometimes addressed in relation to his devotees, as we know. Krishna is sometimes addressed as Yashoda Nandan, Parthasarthi, Radharaman, Giridhari. And sometimes even devotee is described in relation to the Lord, like Govardhan is, described as Haridas Varya. So that's how Uddhava is very, very close to Krishna. So he is described here as Vasudevanucharam. And Uddhava is a disciple of Brihaspati. He is very peaceful, gentle, sober personality. And Vidura is like on the level of father to Uddhava, and they both embraced each other. And then Vidura inquires from Uddhava about Lord's associates, those who are called Bhagavad Prajanam, who are Lord's people. So he says, "Oh Uddhava, you are associate of Krishna and resident of Dwarka, and now you are at Yamuna." So he is now asking, how are all the relatives at Dwarka? So basically, verse 26 to 45 is just inquiries about the welfare of the Yadus and Kurus, So, considering the time, we will not go through each and every, but all the names are mentioned there. He asks the questions about the welfare of Dwarkavasi, and he's also asking about, he's first asking about Krishna and Balram in verse 26. 27, he asks about the Yadus, like different names are mentioned there Vasudev, Pradyumna, Ugrasen, Shamba, Yuyudhan, Akrura, Devki. And like that, 27, 28, 29 verses, he asks about Pradyumna, Ugrasen, right? And then verse 30, he's saying, how is Samba? Verse 31, he says, how is Yuyudhan? And 32, he mentions Akrura in verse 32. Now, Akrura is a very, very special devotee of Lord Krishna, and he is a minister of Kamsa. So he's a very important member of Yadu dynasty. And, after the death of Kamsa, he shifts to Dwarka along with the Mathura Vasis, and he is very much surrendered to Krishna, Akrura. So we can see here that Kamsa had sent Akrura to fetch Krishna Balram from Vrindavan. And see here, sometimes we can see that good fortune comes to the devotees, and it can also happen. Krishna can give us bestow good fortune upon us even through a demon or atheist or materialistic person. So because through Kamsa, Akrur got to visit Vrindavan, he got to meet Krishna. So Krishna is very expert. He can utilize anyone to give us spiritual knowledge. Just like through Duryodhan, Vidur got good fortune to visit all the holy places and he met Maitreya and he heard Krishna Katha. So through Kamsa, Akrura saw Krishna and through Duryodhan, Vidura got opportunity to associate with Maitreya and Uddhava. So, see, even in such a negative thing, we can see that a good fortune of devotees. That, and if we also have right positive outlook in life, then we can see the materialistic person as instrument of Krishna to show us some mercy. Sometimes that can happen, right? If we get some hurt or pain through materialistic person, it is again, it's an opportunity to go close to Krishna, take shelter of devotees, hear Hari Katha, and develop a mature consciousness. That is also how we can understand these verses through Akrura and through Vidura. We can understand all this very nicely. So, verse 33 is talking about that Vedas are reservoir of sacrificial purpose, and daughter of King Devak Bhoj conceived the Lord in her womb. So, he's asking that mother of the demigods, Devaki, how is she? He's talking about Mother Devaki. Verse 34, how is Aniruddha doing? How is he? And verse 35 speaks about others such as Ridhika, Charudeshna, Gada, Satyabhama, like that. He's asking about them. Verse 36 is asking about whether Maharaj Yudhishthir is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles. Is everything going well there? He's asking. So, like that, he is asking about everyone. And verse 37, he says, now please tell me whether Bhima, who is like a cobra, is he doing okay? Is he fine now? So here Bhima is addressed as snake or cobra. So we need to understand because he gets angry very fast, and he's also called Vrikodara, who can take a huge intake of food and he can perform Herculean tasks. So different devotees have different nature, and we should not minimize the position of any devotee. Like for example, Srila Prabhupada had to exhibit anger sometimes on atheists or devotees who made mistakes. And Prabhupada mentions we can also sometimes in our services, for example, Hanuman became angry to burn Lanka, and Arjuna cannot fight the battlefield of Kurukshetra without having some nature of anger. So, anger is bona fide when utilized in service of Krishna, like Bhima did. And in Nectar of Instruction, text 6, there is a very nice verse. Drishte swabhava janiter vapushascha doshair. Due to lack of time, I'll not recite the entire verse, but that verse says, Rupa Goswami explains that we should not overly focus on the faults of a devotee. Faults could be physical defects or faults could be nature or attitude or swabhava of a person. But what is most important is that we should not minimize position of a devotee or judge him based on his qualities if he is sometimes angry or harsh, but we should see how he loves Krishna because devotees love Krishna. So the first and foremost quality of a devotee is that he surrendered to Krishna. So all the other things will happen slowly as long as he is in that process. That other qualities will manifest by the mercy of Guru and devotees, Vaishnavas and Krishna. It will come and it will manifest. As long as one is surrendered to Krishna, that is the most important quality. One must take surrender to Krishna and in that surrendered mood pray, then definitely he will be soon come to the good position and develop all the qualities. And then he is asking about Arjuna, that Arjuna who bears Gandiva, he's so famous. Is he doing okay? Is he well? And verse 40 is asking about Pritha, Kunti Maharani. He is asking how is she? And then Vidura laments in verse 41 about Dhritarashtra. Yes, he's lamenting now for his brother that, you know, by him, Vidura was driven out of the house. But he's still his sincere well-wisher because, he's his brother and devotees wish well for everyone. We can see in this verse that how Vidura is so concerned about Dhritarashtra, his brother. And coming towards the end, then verse 42, he's saying that I'm not astonished, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. He says that he has done all the travels and he's not astonished. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others, but I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I'm very happy in all respects. So Vidura is happy with what has happened and what the the destiny of everyone is, because he has total faith in the Lord. Whatever Lord does will be, it's the right thing. And verse 43, we can see here it's explained that why Krishna did not give immediate punishment to all these people. Why did he wait? So it is explained here that the silence of Krishna did not mean that he excused the offenses of the Kurus. There were many other kings on earth who had become very proud of their wealth, education, and followers. And Krishna was just waiting to get them together on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and then kill them all at one time, just so that he took a shortcut in killing mission. He all this is explained here in the purports, that he waited to get them all together and then the battle happened and they were all punished. So we must trust the Lord. He has his own plan. So we must go on doing with our duty, but at the same time. And secondly, in the purport 43, also Srila Prabhupada mentions that the Lord always wants to see his devotee as the hero of some episode, which he himself can perform. But he wanted to see his devotee and friend Arjun as the hero of the battle of Kurukshetra. Thus, he waited for all the miscreants of the world to assemble. That and nothing else is the explanation of his waiting. So, he waited because he wants to give credit to his devotees. That's why Krishna waited. And as we know, Lord, here Srila Prabhupada also mentions that there are two reasons why the Lord appears. He appears to kill the wicked and he appears to protect his devotees, give protection to his devotees. And through his action, he attracts all kinds of people, karmis, gnanis, and bhaktas, everyone. And then verse 45, last verse, it's a very beautiful verse. तस्य प्रपन्नाखिललोकपालाम् अवस्थितानामनुशासने स्वे अर्थाय जातस्य यदुष्वजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्तय तीर्थकीर्ते. O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord. Vidura says to Uddhava, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrender rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interests did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees of the Yadus. So beautiful. So now he just, and here Srila Prabhupada mentions Ete Chamsha Kalapumsa. Vidura is so eager to hear the Krishna Katha from the pure devotee Uddhava. And this is how, thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of third canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by the Vidura. And in that respect, also, this beautiful verse 45 has in connection, he wants to hear Hari Katha. He's saying, now please you glorify the Lord, just glorify the Lord. That is what verse 45 says. And in that respect, we can see there are so many other beautiful verses where there are glories of hearing Krishna Katha. See here in the fourth canto, also in the purport, there is Naham Tishtami Vaikunthe Yoginam Hridayeshu Va Tatra Tishtami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madbhakta. Krishna is not in Vaikuntha, not in hearts of yogis. He remains where his devotees engage in glorifying his activities. It is to be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not leave the company of his devotees. How inspiring to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, second canto, verse 7. This is Brahma is speaking to Narad Muni, where Narad Muni had asked a lot of questions, yes, samstham and yacha and all that about the universes. There, Brahma says here that neither I nor the sages born before me can fully understand or describe the omnipotent Lord. So, what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 10 faces. नान्तं विदम्यहममी मुनयो ग्रजस्ते मायाबलस्य पुरुषस्य कुतो वराये गायन् गुणान् दशशतानन आदिदेवा शेषोऽधुनापि समवस्यति नस्य पारम्. And then third canto, again there is a beautiful description that why we should be discussing Hari Katha. Yanna vrajantyagabhido rachananuvadat shanvanti yenya vishaya ukathamatigne yastu shrutahata bhagendri viratta saras tamstan shipantya sharaneshu tamasuhanta. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. So when we will come to this beautiful 15th chapter where there is description of Vaikuntha by Brahma, it is a very beautiful description, and we will see how there is no envy there at all amongst all the devotees of the Lord. And Kukatha Matigni means our intelligence is completely corrupted when we are just discussing material topics only, which are not worthy of discussion. But worthy of discussion is Krishna Katha. And then there is this beautiful verse, Paraspara Nukathanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yashaha Mithoratir Mitashtushtir Nivratir Mitharatmanaha. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction, and by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all the suffering. So we will give up material lower taste if we will discuss together Hari Katha. So when devotees come together and hear Hari Katha regularly, there is complete satisfaction of heart and material desires are eradicated. So that is why in the last verse here, Vidura is requesting Uddhava to please describe the glories of the Lord and please tell him Hari Katha. So that's how the verse 45 ends. And thank you so much for your time and being here. Actually, the verses recitation went on till 8:06. So I have taken some time extra, but 6 minutes were extra in verses recitation. So please forgive me also. And I seek your blessings. If you want to add something more, then please go ahead or correct me if I made any mistakes. So Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha,
Kripa Sindhu Bhavya
Sindhubhya
Patitanam
Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.